Alright guys, how's it going? I am the Crown Clown, and today we are doing What If Deku Was the Son of Zeus? Final part. This is it. This is everything that I've been building up towards in this series. We're going to have Deku come to his realization at Olympus, and then we're going to jump right into the war, and there will be a little bit of a time skip, and I'm not actually going to go over what, Inko, Bakugo, Toga, Asui, and Ida are doing during this time. I'm just going to focus on Deku, and then we're going to jump right into the war. I'm not even going to focus on what Todoroki's doing, because in the last part, Todoroki became the god of war and has been given the Gorgon eyes. So he's going to be incredibly powerful. So yeah. Anyways, if before we get started, if you guys enjoy this series, if you want to see more, please subscribe and click that little hidden notification button, that you can only see after you subscribe, and enable all notifications so you never miss another upload, because after this, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a vote. So, what should take Zeus's place? Would you guys want to see... Alright, because next up is the 1,000 subscriber special. I'm not doing my original idea because it would just take too long to formulate, and I made you guys wait long enough. So, do you guys want to see what if Deku was a Quincy? What if Deku was the Poison Dragon Slayer? So basically, what if Deku was Cobra? Or what if Deku was Sabretooth? Comment either Quincy, Cobra, or Sabretooth down in the comment section and on the Discord, and I'll tally up all the votes at the end of the day, and that will be the 1,000 subscriber special to come out next week on Monday. So, as always, let's jump right into things. So, we pick up with Deku, and he just got up there to Olympus, and he's walking around. He sees that it hasn't changed. Olympus is still as grand as it always has been. It's just empty. And as he's walking through, he comes across a chamber. He looks inside, and he remembers it so well and so fondly. That bed is the same bed that he used to make love to Meredith, the one woman who he actually loved with all his heart, and was his first love, his first experience, everything. And the only person who was actually, helping him out to stay human during his training with the gods. He comes across the bath where he bathed with Zeus and Poseidon. He remembers those memories fondly. He comes across the part of the library where he would train with Athena, gaining all of the wisdom that she could impart upon him. And then it comes to the arena where he would often train with Apollo, fighting him, training to be a better man. And he keeps walking. He eventually comes to the throne room, a room he never could bring himself to enter before. Even harder for him to enter now, but he decides to push open the doors as he sees a man sitting on Zeus's throne. Anger fills him, and then he walks forward and he sees that it is Chaos. Chaos has been sitting on Zeus's throne for quite some time, just, waiting. And Deku goes in there and he says, "Chaos, what are you doing on this throne? Last I heard, you had no need for this." And Chaos says, "That's true, but the way I reacted, I needed to talk to you, and I knew you were going to come here searching for answers. So, I'm going to give you those answers. I won't give you the answers about Zeus, not at all, but I will tell you more about Atlas, the man whose strength you have, his power, and I'll tell you something that you're not understanding." And Deku says, "Okay, go ahead. Tell me, what don't I understand about Atlas?" And he says, "Okay, well, first, Even though Kronos was the most feared Titan, he was not the strongest. The strongest Titan out of all of them, and the one who loved Gaia the most, was Atlas. Atlas loved Gaia and he loved his brother. However, Zeus, when he began his war on the Titans, he obliterated Atlas's brother with a single strike of his lightning, ending him. But Atlas, he was so strong that he even gave Zeus pause. There's been no indication of Atlas's full strength ever being measured. So as far as I know, I've never seen his full strength. He could have had limitless strength. His dexterity was amazing. It was monstrous. He could fight for days, weeks, months on end with no rest. The man was truly the epitome of the word Titan. If the Titans had won the war, I'm sure Zeus would have found himself, more and more beaten, bloodied, and put to hold the weight of the worlds like Atlas did, and Atlas would have been the one on the throne. And Deku's hearing that, and he's like, so, is that it? Is that all you're here to tell me? He's like, no, there's more. And he says, Atlas, he was arrogant and brash. He rushed towards the fight against Zeus, but he did it out of love and pain. He was distraught over having his brother killed by Zeus. He was so infuriated. He loved his brother more than anything. And he didn't want his lover, Gaia, to fail to the same fate. He didn't want that for her. He wanted to protect her. He wanted peace above all. But he was not about to let Zeus, someone who he considered a lesser being just because he was smaller, to dictate who was going to be where and when and rule the world. He did not want that. But the final straw for him was his brother, and you almost killed yours. You killed your uncle in a fit of rage. There's no mistaking that you are Zeus's son, but what you're failing to understand is ever since you've inherited Atlas's power, you become more and more like Atlas himself, more arrogant and cocky, thinking you could just destroy the whole world in an instant. I've noticed that you've taken a liking more to Atlas's strength than Zeus. However, who are you? Who is Izuku Midoriya? Beyond being the son of Zeus, beyond being Atlas's successor, who are you? That is something you need to figure out for yourself. And as one final parting gift, I will give you a warning. And then this is it. It's the last you will ever hear of me. And Deku's like, okay, what's the gift? He says, you have 3 months. 3 months to train, to control yourself, and to figure out who you are. Once you figure out that, you will become more powerful than Zeus or Atlas could have ever have dreamed of becoming. But until then, train. Hone your mind, your body and soul. Figure out who Izuku Midoriya is. And then fight. Eliminate the coming waves of chaos. Defeat your enemies. They are lining at the gates, scratching at your castle walls, looking to destroy you and everything you hold dear. So, with this in mind, I tell you, Izuku Midoriya, stand tall, fight, and win this war that is here to come. You will face insurmountable odds unlike any you have seen before. It will be a trial of epic proportions, But for someone who is destined to become the king of all gods, I assure you, you must meet this challenge. You must strike down your enemies like Zeus did before you, to usher in a new reign of gods, to be able to claim that you are the undisputed king of everything. Izuku Midoriya, I bid you farewell, and I honor you by not interfering again. I shall do that and oversee everything that you become and the way you shape this world. Until then, farewell, Izuku Midoriya, King of Gods. As chaos vanishes. And Deku, he is understanding what chaos is trying to say. He's going to have to fight. He's going to have to face hundreds upon thousands of enemies and strike them all down. He will have to bring in order to this world. And so Deku spends the next 3 months training. He trains his body, building up more muscle mass, equaling that of Zeus in his younger years. He lets his hair down and flow freely. He wears that white toga. And after the end of the 3 months, he has found his purpose. He has clarity of mind. He has his strength fully unlocked and is ready to wage war amongst them all. So, as Deku looks around, he sees the fighting has already begun. And he sees everything that's happening. He looks and he sees Toga not on the battlefield, but somewhere safe, almost nearing her due date. Because, Toga, she's been pregnant for a while now. She just never really wanted to take the test to find out. So those 3 months that passed, yeah, she's about 8 months. So he sees Ida over there running around, beating as many enemies as he can, and then he sees Bakugo standing tall, blazing amongst the battleground, setting it to the scorched earth, fire to the air, explosions going everywhere. And then he sees his mother. They're fighting, having the waves of the ocean crush her enemies, drowning them. Having the Kraken remerge onto the surface to destroy her enemies. And then he sees Asui taking aim and using her combined quirks and hunting her enemies down, creating craters in the earth, firing her arrows. And Deku sees Todoroki waging war, turning people to stone, breaking their skulls, ripping them apart, alongside Dabi. And, Deku decides it's time for him to head down. But then, before he leaves Olympus, he sees something all the way at the back, beyond not Shigaraki, beyond 9, beyond Chisaki, and beyond Hera. Something giant and colossal in size. The Titan Kronos. Beside him, Hercules, Perseus, and beside them, Zeus, his father. But no Poseidon this time around. So Deku decides it's time. He, manipulates his lightning and he rides it across the skies, crashing it down into the hordes of the enemies, eliminating 10,000 of their soldiers immediately. Because all the pro heroes, they're still there. They are on the battlefield. They are fighting their hardest. Endeavor is fighting Todoroki and Dabi at the same time. Because Todoroki, he's on the villain side now. That's pretty much it. And, all the other pro heroes are there. They're fighting their hardest and they're losing ground. Gigantomachia is running rampant, you know, because he's kind of following Hera at the moment. And, you know, all right, so going forward here to break story for a little bit, there's going to be some spoilers. So, all right, we good? All right, let's go. So, Deku, he's on the battlefield now, and he sees Hera. He looks straight at her. But before he does anything else, he flies up into the air. And all of the, 1A students, they see him up there, and they're, like, in fear. They're just like, oh, crap, what's he about to do now? And he's just like, I am Izuku Midoriya, and I will state my name and business. All you mortals beware. You face the king of all gods of Olympus, Izuku Midoriya, god of gods. As he looks down and declares that, Hera immediately flies towards him. And what does Deku do? Not much. He takes her by the head and electrifies her, sending so much lightning, he destroys her on a molecular level. Hera is gone. And Deku says, any more who would challenge my rule? As he looks and sees Zeus, and he says, Father, I know you are just an empty husk of your former self, but please, let your soul rest. I do not wish to fight you. As Bakugo yells out, it's about time you got your head out of your ass. As Deku looks down to him, he says, you're right. It is about time. 9 says, I challenge your rule, since you are supposedly the king of gods. And, Deku says, I am the god of gods. Watch your tongue. And he's just like, oh, you must think you're some pretty hot stuff, huh? And Deku tells him, I won't tell you again. Watch your tongue. He says, I hate to break it to you, but I'm the god of death. I can't die. And Deku says, that's just a myth. Because if you were honestly immortal, what do you think happened to the other god of death? And 9 hasn't really thought about that for a hot second. He's just like, you mean? And Deku says, my father killed him. And 9 looks at Zeus and demands an answer. And Zeus is forced to speak. And he says, yes, I killed Thanatos and Hades. And Kronos, he's fully revived. Like Kronos, he allied himself with Hera. But now that Hera's gone, Kronos says to, Deku, you wish to claim yourself above me, little demigod. And Deku says, I am no longer a mere demigod. You will watch your tongue when you speak, or you will die again, Kronos. I'm offering mercy to you, to those two down there, Chisaki. 9, I will grant you counsel amongst Olympus. I wish for all of us to be peaceful, for this war to end. Let us just be in peace. There's no need for us to kill each other. Accept my rule and my mercy, or die like the dogs you are. There is no choice. There is no other option. As, Deku, he's like pretty confident right now. And, 9, overhaul, they're just like, we would rather kill you than submit to you. As Overhaul tries to charge him, because he's become very efficient with Hades' powers, Deku says, you are a fool. You don't just challenge the son of Zeus. You challenge a man who is stronger than the strongest Titan, Atlas. And Kronos hears that name, and he's just like, you dare insinuate yourself above Atlas? And Deku, as soon as he grabs the overhaul, he punches a hole straight through him, killing him, because he used all of his strength. And as soon as that punch landed, it didn't just go straight through Chisaki. No, Chisaki, he's pretty much nothing at this point. But it ripped through the winds. The earth shook. The heavens felt its electric shock. Everything is rocking. Chaos can feel it up in the heavens. The strength to break the universe. Izuku Midoriya's. And Kronos, he feels that, and he's just like, that strength. The only one that could do that before was, and Deku says, Atlas. I know. I am Atlas's successor. I might be the son of Zeus, but I have all of Atlas's powers and abilities at my disposal. You are nothing to me anymore, Kronos. I am the strongest god to ever exist. I am someone even Chaos admires and respects. You are nothing, and you will die like nothing again if you continue this farce. And Kronos is angry. And Nine, seeing how he just took out Chisaki, says, alright, fine. I will keep peace with you. And Deku says, appreciated. And as soon as Nine says that, Kronos stomps him into the ground, killing him. Like, Kronos just kills Nine right there on the spot and eats him. And Deku's just like, should have stepped away from the Titan. And Kronos, he says, where is Gaia? I feel her presence. I feel her power. And, Deku says, Gaia is long dead. Her power lives on, though, in my woman. And, Kronos says, how about I kill you and take your woman as my bride and breed a new race of Titans? And when Deku hears that, all hell breaks loose. Deku's eyes light up, the skies turn black, lightning is cracking, the earth shaking, the heavens are screaming in pain. Deku looks at Kronos and he tells him, don't you ever speak of her again. Asui, Ida, Bakugo, and Inko see Deku up there. They see the power he's gained, the, responsibility, composure that is needed to required to wield that power correctly. It's his. And Deku tells him, I will forgive you if you get on your knees and beg for your life within the next 3 seconds, Kronos. And Kronos scoffs and says, I would never. And Deku says 3. And Kronos says, really? 2. He charges at Deku. And Deku just says, 1. And he unleashes lightning amongst nothing Zeus could even dream of unleashing. Heavenly lightning just impales Kronos through his legs, his arms, even through his stomach, and right through his eyes. And while that's going on, while Deku's dealing with Kronos, Todoroki is down there, and he's killed his father. And Dabi's revelation happened with him claiming that he was be Toya Todoroki. So, in Todoroki's mind, he has his brother back. He has all of his family that he actually cares about, and his father is gone. He can't hurt them anymore. And then Todoroki sees Deku, and he says, I will kill him myself. As he rushes over there, and Bakugo can see Todoroki, and he feels he's the power of a god. So, Bakugo goes to intercept him. And, Bakugo gets there and he tells Todoroki, looks like we're doing this. Me and you. And Todoroki sees Bakugo and he's like, you know what? This is even better. I'll kill the bastard who blinded me in the first place. As they're squaring up, Dabi's saying, you know what? I'm going to help out my brother. As he rushes over there to try and kill Bakugo with, Shoto, Bakugo literally just walks straight through Toya's flames, grabs him by the neck, and snaps it, killing Dabi instantly. And before he does, he takes control of cremation. Like, those flames, yeah, if you guys haven't forgotten, Bakugo controls all fire with his pyrokinesis. And Bakugo's actually unlocked 100% of his power, right during those 3 months. He was at like 70% for the longest. He's unlocked 100%. He's become the actual god of the sun. And, even Ida and Asui have unlocked 100% of their godly powers. And so did Inko. And as well as Toga, but Toga's kind of out of commission for, safety reasons, because, Inko's not wanting her grandchild to be caught up in this war at all and be put at risk. And Toga agrees, because, Toga's not really wanting to put that child in jeopardy, especially since she's so far along. The motion sickness would just get her at the worst of times and would just break Deku even more, and Deku would have broke the world if Toga was there and got hurt. I'm just saying. So, while that's happening, Todoroki sees his brother dead and he loses it. He activates the Gorgon Eyes. And right before Bakugo can be turned to stone, Ida saves him, but at a price. Ida's gets turned to stone. Right there. Bakugo sees that and he's immensely just infuriated that his friend, someone he trained with for 3 whole months, just sacrificed their life so that he could live. And that Ida, god of speed, was turned to stone instead of him. And Bakugo says, you know what? I've had enough of this. You might be a god now, but I still control your eyesight. Feel the wrath of the sun as he bombards Todoroki with blast of sunlight directly from the sun, incinerating his eyes, blinding him once more. Todoroki, not being able to see, tries to find where Bakugo is. He's unleashing his ice and fire in all directions, eliminating his own men, and all the pro heroes, they're just like staying back from this now because like dude's out of control. And Bakugo just walks right on up there, knees him so hard in the stomach that he's puking up blood, picks him up by his hair, slams his head into the pavement, and stomps on it until it's nothing but a paste, and then sets his body ablaze with the fire of hell. And Todoroki's done for. That's it. Inko's keeping a perimeter now, with the water, keeping a water wall around the fighting. And Zeus sees her and he rushes to her. And so does Heracles. But Perseus rushes over there to where Bakugo is. And he sees that Ida's been turned to stone. And he says, if only there was a way that you could turn him back. Huh. Bakugo roared at him. What do you mean, if there was a way to undo it? He says, well, did you guys ever, think about bringing back Asclepius? Sorry if I butchered that name. Probably did. Bakugo says, what do you mean? He says, he was the god of medicine. He could undo Medusa's petrification. If you would only have just brought him back, things would have been a lot better for you. And, he says, why are you telling us this? And Perseus says, I want to live. Plain and simple. I just want to live. Whichever side that's on, I don't care. After all, Hera brought Hercules and me back to full strength, fully alive. Dad's a husk, not worth serving, but his other son, my little brother, Izuku Midoriya, so powerful. And if siding with you and helping you out means that I get to live and be a part of this new order of gods, I'm all for it. And Bakugo says, help me and I'll put in a good word for you. That's all I can do as the god of the sun. And, Perseus, he's just like, god of the sun. Excellent. Let's see where this goes. And Bakugo calls, and Perseus is like, who are you calling out to? He says, wait for it. And out of the sky comes his chariot. And he jumps onto his chariot. He says, come on, we're going somewhere. And Perseus says, okay, sure, no need to tell me twice. As Asui rushes over to him and looks at Ida, she looks at Bakugo and says, where are you going? And Bakugo says, don't worry. I'm going out to, find a cure for Ida. As Asui looks, she says, you better be careful, especially taking someone like that with you. Bakugo says, don't worry about it. I'll be alright. As she says, okay. Bakugo rides his chariot up into the sky. He stops by Deku, and Deku looks at him and he's like, hey, where you going with Perseus? Perseus says, well, we're gonna go to the underworld. I'm assuming, correct? Bakugo says, yeah, we're going to the underworld. As Deku says, what for? He says, well, we're gonna go get Asclepius as the god of medicine, who can undo petrification. And Deku says, you have my blessing. Go and be swift about it. As he says, very well. They ride down to the underworld. And while that's going on, Deku's pretty much just like, alright, enough with this. As Heracles is right there with Zeus and Inko, Deku sees that and he's pissed. He kills Kronos right then and there and rushes at Hercules as he lands down beside his mother. And Hercules looks and he's like, well, you really do look like our father. And he says, are you a threat or are you a friend? And Heracles says, well, for one, I'm not turning coat like Perseus did. I'm assuming anyway. Since he rode off in that chariot, I'm assuming he's a turncoat. Me? Not so much. And besides, you said you had the strength of Atlas. I bested Atlas. And Deku says, so, a fight to see who's the most physically strong? And Hercules says, yes. And if that ends up being me, you are to relinquish your throne to me. And Deku says, I agree to those terms. And he looks at Zeus, just that husk of his former self, fading away even now. Inko says, go, I'll be alright. So, Deku walks with Heracles to the center of all the fighting. They stand there, looking at each other, staring each other down. Hercules makes the first move, rushing towards Deku, and Deku is ready for him. Hercules goes with a huge right hook. Deku counters it and knees Hercules straight in the jaw, sending him into the air, grabbing his ankle and slamming him into the ground, taking his foot into the air and slamming it into Hercules' back, crumbling him into the ground. Hercules yells in pain, and he looks at Deku and he says, "Not bad. Not bad at all, brother." As he gets up, grabbing Deku's ankle, slamming him into the ground. And Deku just says, "I didn't even feel it." As Heracles just looks like, "What you mean? You didn't even feel it?" Deku says, "I'm tired of holding back. I'm going to end this now, brother. Either submit or die. Your choice." Hercules says, "Yeah, right. Like, you could actually end this now," as Deku lands an uppercut to his jaw, sending Heracles flying into the earth. Well, not earth, but into the air. And then flying him even further beyond into the heavens. As Heracles is flying, he's thinking to himself, how is he this strong? The bottom of his chin and jaw is just shattered. He can't speak anymore. He can barely even keep conscious. As he flies into the heavens, though, he sees chaos. Chaos waves. He says, "Have a fun trip down." As Hercules falls back to the earth, in a blaze, he hits the ground like a meteor. And when Deku looks down, Hercules is dead. And he's just like, "Good riddance." As he walks away, steam arises from the charred corpse of Hercules. As he walks over to his father, and Zeus is almost gone. Without a god of the underworld or death keeping his soul tethered, it's about to disperse and go back to the afterlife. As Deku looks at his father, hugging his mother, Deku hugs his father and tells him, "Don't worry, you can rest. I got this." Tears running down his face, seeing his father again, for the last time ever. Until it is his time to go, he tells him, "I'll see you on the other side, father." As he tells him that, and gives him one last hug, Zeus crumbles away in his arms, his soul, looking up at Deku. As Deku looks up, he sees it, and Zeus tells him, "I am so proud of you, my son. Live long, and please, be in good health, and don't make the same mistakes I did." As his soul finally fades away, and Deku is just left there, tears running down his face. The war is still raging on, however. Deku goes into the air, sends lightning down, and demands the fighting stop. Everyone looks up, and they stop their fighting. Deku says, "This war is over. Anyone who wishes to continue fighting will fight me and die." The villains surrender. He tells the heroes they are free to arrest them all. As the heroes go in arresting them all, they all say, "You're not above being arrested yourself." Deku says, "You dare command a god, mortal?" As they all look, and Bakugo's coming back with Perseus, administering the cure they got in the afterlife. As Ida breaks free, he runs over to where You know, Deku is, as he stands there alongside Bakugo, Perseus, Inko, Asui, and Ida. He looks at them and says, "We are the gods of Olympus. You shall not pass. You shall not command us. But we shall not stay on this realm. We shall not stay here. We will return to Olympus. And if you ever let the state of the world be wrought with chaos again, I swear upon my name of God of gods, I will destroy this world." And they agree. So after all that's said and done, all they do is Deku goes to Toga, apologizing to her for everything he's ever done, hugging her, and they go off to Olympus. All of them, together. Deku becomes the king of the gods, just like Zeus before him. Toga, his wife, their child, who is insanely strong. He has all the powers of Deku and Toga. So, yeah, he's actually incredibly powerful. Bakugo and Asui have a child as well, who has mainly pyrokinetic powers overall. Not really any type of super strength, but is incredibly versatile and mobile. Ida, he marries a mortal woman, having a first demigod in a while. So, he's actually very happy, and the child does take after Ida a lot. Inko sits out there and monitors everything to make sure nothing goes afoul. And the world is in peace for centuries to come. And that's it. That's it. That's all there is. That's the final to What If Deku Was the Son of Zeus. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, I am the Crown Clown, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.